how to change spark plugs on a 2012 Acura TL, removing the old ones and installing the new ones. In this video, I'll show you how to replace the spark plugs on your 2012 Acura TL. But why would you change the spark plugs? Spark plugs wear over time and can reduce engine performance and fuel mileage. As you can see right here, the electrode is basically completely gone and it won't give you a strong spark. So, it could fire late and not get optimal performance or a rough idle. This is a 3.7 liter V6, but I think the 3.5 liter V6 is the same procedure. The specs are the same anyways. The hood struts should hold up the hood, but they don't. And to prevent myself from a head injury, I'll install this little tool to keep the hood from dropping. First, we'll have to take off this plastic to get to the rear spark plugs. But in order to get that off, these two panels have to be removed. We can't just pull the panel up because we have a clip here, here, and there. With the trim tool, I'll just remove them one by one. Be careful not to break them though. Make sure you don't lose any. I just put them by the windshield wiper arm. Then your plastic panel can be moved and put aside. Remove the two clips on the passenger side. You want to pay attention to the washer fluid lid here. You may notice that there is a hole cut into that plastic panel so your lid fits through. Twist the lid unclip it from the center panel and it should come out. Now to the center panel. There's just this one clip. Once that clip is out, the panel basically just lays in there and comes out no problem. With this tight area back here, it might be very hard to record and work. It should basically be the same as it is in the front though. And I'll try to give you a good visual of the front here. But I also try to do my best for the back. That may earn me a like for the YouTube algorithm. Fortunately, this front panel comes out without any problems, so I'll remove that as well. That should give me a better camera angle. And right here, we got our 3 spark plugs. You push both of these tabs back, you can just use your finger actually, while lifting the whole thing up to make some room for the coils to be unplugged. Just press on the back of the connector and it should unlatch right here and you should be able to push the connector off the coil. Repeat the steps for the other 2 coils. With a 10mm socket and a 1/4 inch ratchet, you can remove the 3 nuts holding the coils in place. And put them in a secure place. Then pull the coils out and place them so you know where they were and you can put them back to where they came from. Down there is where all your spark plugs sit. If you have compressed air, blow out all the dust that is down at the spark plugs. Then take a 5/8 inch spark plug socket. It has a rubber grommet inside to hold the spark plug. Crack them a 1/4 turn loose. And again blow out all the dust. Don't use an impact to remove them. Use a ratchet to loosen them so you can hand turn them. Take off the ratchet and loosen them all the way by hand. This rubber grommet in the socket is supposed to hold onto the spark plug, but it doesn't. So I'll just use a magnet to pull them all out. I like to organize them so I know where they came from. You can usually tell by the spark plug what the health of the engine is like. I'll try to see if I can add a link for a chart or a diagram to the description where I also have all the specs and the tools that you will need. There is a specific gap that you need to have on your spark plugs so you get the perfect spark. Some say that you shouldn't gap iridium spark plugs, some do and they don't have a problem. I measured the gap and it is fine, so I won't play with it. But here's the spec in case you want to know. The ideal is between 0.039 and 0.043 inches. Sometimes you can see a line on the porcelain of the spark plug, and that is where the spark has come through and shorted to the ground. If you see that, replace the boot of your coil as well. Or if the boot is torn or damaged, you also want to replace it. Here is what a boot kit looks like. It comes with a new boot, a seal for the top, and a spring that sits in the coil. Since all the spark plugs look fine and the coils look fine, I won't worry about that. So let's compare the new and old spark plug to make sure they match up, and since they do, let's install them. Some people will put anti-seize on the threads of the spark plug, and GK doesn't want that. They already have a coating. I'll leave the link of the article in the description in case you want to read it. Slowly guide the spark plug down with your fingers so it doesn't drop down and bend anything. And do the same for the other two spark plugs. Just hand tighten it for now. With all of them hand tight, torque them down to 16 foot-pounds. Before installing the coils, I like to put a little dielectric grease in the boot to keep the moisture out. Other than that, they should just slide right in. Now you can install the 10mm nuts that hold down the coils. They need to be snug, but not overly tight. Now you can plug in your connectors. Once all three coils are plugged in, you can snap the wiring harness cover back in place. After the backside, tight to work in and tight to record. But start by unplugging all the coils and then take off the nuts. I like to loosen them all first and then take them off by hand. The coils pull out nicely, and I'll organize them right here again so I can put them back from where they came. Load all the spark plug holes, then remove the spark plugs. It takes some extra time because you have to figure out what extension to use in this limited amount of space. This one is too long. This one is too short. So I just drop the socket in there and then put my extension in. Once I loosen it with the ratchet, I fully turn out the spark plug by hand, and I make sure to turn it for long enough that the spark plug is loose. Then I pull out the extension so I can undo the socket and fish out the socket with a magnet. For this spark plug, I'll use the same magnet, and that's pretty much the procedure for all three of them. With all of them removed and organized on the table, it's time to install the new ones. I again just slide them down with my finger. Slide down the socket. Slide down the extension. Hand tighten the spark plug. And then torque the spark plug to 16 foot-pounds. Then do the same thing to the other two. These boots are still good, so I'll just apply some dielectric grease and reinstall them. Fairly simple, just slide them in. Install the 10mm nuts. Just snug, do not over tighten them. Plug in all 3 coils, otherwise you may not be able to start your car. Put the plastic covers back on, starting with the front one. Move the hood release lever back to get the plastic in place. Then install the back one and have this hook go on the strut tower brace. And install a clip. Install the driver's side cover in place and install the clips that connect it to the fender. Then install the passenger side plastic cover with all the clips. Then finish the last clips on the driver's side. Make sure it runs. And it does. That's how you can replace all your old spark plugs. And if this video was any help to you, hit that like button and subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram at AutoTechWorld. Thanks for watching.